Welcome everyone to tonight's webinar. Tonight we'll be going through the new features in PlansXpress 2019. I'm your host, Thomas Brooks. Many of you already know me as you've spoken to me on the support team. Of the new features in 2019, one of the first things I'm going to run through is the mouse buttons, because this is going to be something that's going to be evolving over time, and we will be making changes to the default at some point in the future. Now, what I mean by this is, under the settings, there is a switch mouse buttons button there. Now, traditionally, when you are working, you have had instructions in the past when doing certain items, like if I grab a wall here, and place that wall. If I was to highlight this wall, I can middle mouse click, and it would bring up the menu that allowed me to modify the features on that wall. Now, I do apologise from this point onwards, as well as I'm broadcasting this in native resolution. If any of you do say that it is a little bit hard to see, I'll switch it to make it a bit more visible. Now, you may notice that on the middle mouse menu, as it is traditionally, you have a few more options that we can start using. And I'm a big fan of some of these, because not only do we have a, say, previous command on there, but you can now have a select on there, which allows us to pick up not just the item we've clicked on, but also items nearby. So you can actually, let's say, pick out lines, even though they're on top of each other, use that to pick out the exact line you need, which we'll come to when it comes to some roofs later on. You'll find is very, very useful, especially when lines sit on top of each other. Another new feature under this menu is the draw using this specification. So if you've done several walls or several items since you did the main wall, all you need to do to say, okay, I need to do another wall of this type, bring up the menu, draw using the specification, and then you can continue drawing using the same specification wall as before. Now, I'm doing this by middle mouse clicking currently, which is the old style of doing this. Under here as well, we have delete entity, add note item IDs and notes, which is traditional before. Say set item as non-estimated, modified don't t, and leave all end open as such. Okay, so those are original ones. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my settings tab. I'm going to click switch mouse buttons. Now, currently default, recommended for new users. It's what most of the support material is based around, and the software is used traditionally with a mouse button. For this, now I'm going to be switching to the alternative, right click for the menu. So now if I bring my mouse forward here, should be able to see this. The menu is now based on the right button, so much more convenient to click, straightforward, less sensitive to accidental scrolling than using the mouse wheel as previous. Another advantage of this is users with trackpads, or if you're on a laptop, you might use a mouse normally, but if you're out and about, you might just open up the software and you can use the trackpad and use the right-click function to bring up the tools that you previously would have been denied access to because you didn't have a middle mouse button. Okay, so now I've run through the mouse buttons there. I'm just going to pause the recording while I adjust resolution for some viewers. 1 second. So, back to the software again. And more things for me to edit at the end. It's creating video content's all quite fun, but there's points when you're recording and you realise you trip up over what you're saying, and you realise I can either A, record that whole thing again, or B, carry on as it never happened, and edit them. Right, so we got some walls there now. Another item that we've added to the software, I'm just going to run progressively across the tabs on the top, so we've got some kind of order to this, is under the views in 3D, a toggle drawing mode. I'm going to give that a click. I'm going to right mouse click. You'll see that there is a switch to detail mode on the right mouse click button there as well. A switch mouse buttons option, so we can switch back and forth if we're say finding it a little bit annoying using one or the other. And then undo. Also construction lines and annotation. So a lot of the tools that you might have to previously keep going back to the menu at the top, especially when laying out your construction lines, as many of you who've been with us a while have heard me rabbiting on about quite a lot, is directly accessible via the menu. Wonderful stuff. Making everything that's that much a little bit more convenient. So it's kind of a quality of life there, and toggle them on and off without having to go into any menus. Annotation, text, clouds, linear dimension, chain dimensions, angular dimensions there. So instead of again having to go into the drawing annotation button each time, we've got them accessed here. So I'm going to go into this now. Actually, I'm going to use the external wall and just start drawing. Set everything to left. Now this time you may notice that there's a couple of just simple lines there, more so than normal. I'm going to place that, and you'll see now we've got a solid grey line. So as we go around doing a bit of drawing, close that off, we have effectively almost say an estate agent's style sketch going on there, but something a little bit more simple, easier to follow, less complicated, especially when you're doing something like either a quick sketch, as is a sketch mode, or even doing a trace over, as you'll have blue lines with the trace over, which we'll get to. For the most part, when placing doors and windows in, they're still going to feature the same, but without having the complicated joins, red and blue lines, footings and such there. Looks much tidier. Also, can give you performance increase. So if you're running on an older machine and you find that when your drawing gets quite complicated and you've got lines going on, because one of the things to remember is that every line in the software, in CAD, even letters, have to be rendered as single lines. Curves are just nothing but lots of small straight lines dotted together. When it comes to text, same thing. So lots of text, lots of things for the CPU to render and draw through. If we can lighten that load by removing a lot of the walls, then that helps a great deal on older machines. With this now as well, I'm going to carry on. I'm going to just pop some other features within this random little house. But the great advantage of this now is I'm just going to accept defaults. You see how nice and tidy that's looking there. Nothing too spectacular. But now I've got a couple of segmented rooms, I can now show one of the other main features. Now I'm going to do this as a combination of what it looks like in sketch mode and the new feature itself. I'm going to go to my flooring, and I'm going to go to my floor slabs and irregular shaped floor slab. Now it has to be the irregular shaped. The other slab types, the way they are drawn requires 2 points pulled across. It uses a calculation for direction, which is useful, used for things like timbers and such. But the irregular is just an area. It's an area of pour. It doesn't. The calculation used for this one allows us to pull a neat trick, which is new in 2019. So if I click irregular area slab, I'm just going to accept the defaults on this now. And I'm going to hover over a floor area. And what I'm going to do now is just press F. And it auto detects the area of floor, the barriers created by the wall, and will fill that. Asking me if I want to place a perimeter installation on the slab. No for now. I can right click, previous command, again, and just F that. So very quickly, we can do all the slabs within the house, and it doesn't matter if the walls are of a particularly random shape. There we go. Bring my floor back. Now, if that's not something that gain in efficiency, I don't know what is. So that allows us now to just basically just fill any area quickly, cleanly, no clicking around. And if you want to look at that in detail mode, we can return to the detail mode as how it would be printed out when we're doing our plan submissions. Gonna get a shot of that there now. And I'm going to return to sketch mode because, frankly, sketch mode is much more pleasing on the eye. It's less harsh. Another thing that is another improvement is that the stairs have had their renderer improved. So if I number of steps in the winder as, let's just change it to 3. Okay. Change my point to right. There you go. Place that gently. Using 3D preview. You'll see now that the winders are rendering quite lovely now. This is actually segueing into something else that we'll be going to in a bit with the 3D preview and the changes that have occurred in there. So very quickly now, I'm just going to add some levels to this. So my walls are, just hover over them there, 2775, there we go. For dramatic effect, I have a very noisy keyboard. And a noisy mouse. That way you know when I'm doing stuff. So as before, I can click on a level. Now I can right click to select that level, copy, and place that next to, say, wall height 2400. There we go. Standard features as before of copying external, internal, and any doors and windows and features and such that were there, and removing foundations and footings. This time though, if I want to highlight something, I can go select regular clicked floor slab, and so I don't have to do any drag selects or just trying to click on a fine line. I can just click and select an item that's nearby or what I'm hovering over, and just delete. I'm going to explode those stairs there. And I'm going to highlight these walls, and I'm going to just delete them straight out. Now, previously, one of the things that was suggested to do, especially by the manual, is that when you are doing, say, a next level on the building, you'd want to leave the say supporting walls downstairs on the next level, so you can see where your timber's going to run to. See what you're supporting, and where you can run the timbers to, what's going to need a trimmer and such. Now, if I highlight the level, we now have an IntelliTrace feature. Under this ribbon as well, you'll also see there's a move reference point. So I can change the reference point from one corner to another. That would be really useful for some people there, because if you are just moving your reference point, before you'd have to move the whole thing and then adjust the whole box. That's not needed now. But for me, the biggie is the IntelliTrace. If I give that a tick there now, you'll see that is now constructed a Polyline outlay of what's downstairs. So we can see the downstairs block walls there, and we can then start running our floors to them. So grab me some suspended insulated timber floor. And run them across. Thus, say, removing the need for going through and making, say, the floors in, then deleting all the walls and such out as before. Yeah. So hopefully that would be another, say, very useful feature in the software for you. It's definitely one that's going to be making, say, designing new builds and extensions, anything with anything larger than a room, a lot more convenient. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do on top of this is some roof lines. Grab me a cut roof, 35 degree. There we go, that'll do us fine there. And I'll make this a hip roof. There we go. And next thing I'll do is I'll just put another one teeing in. Okay. I'm just going to leave it out of the way for the moment. I'm not going to fuss about moving lines for the time being, because I want to show you the other useful feature. I've been able to select nearby. As you see now, I've just clicked near the roof line. And this now allows me to select between the two. Now, if I want to know which one that belongs to, I can just say, now I've got that one highlighted, I can go select all lines for this roof. So instead of having to pick them out individually, they're all done in one go. I can delete them out if need be. In this case, I'm just going to, because it's leaving a bit of a mess there, I'm just going to undo that, right click and undo again, because now having undo on the mouse button is meaning that I can be even more lazier than before hitting Control Z. But it does free up a hand for having a drink. Bear with me one moment. There we go. Gotta keep yourself hydrated. Oh, we have to expand the attendees box again. I say this is I think this is one of the most popular webinars in a very long time. I say new features does that though. It brings people out. New features brings all the builders to the yard. There we go. Okay, so I'm seeing some questions coming in, saying about the asking about levels and such. Don't worry about missing out or anything like that. I will be doing a Q&A session, so I'm going to bear the levels question in mind for when I get there. Okay. So main thing is just run through new features in the software, new content, applications for said new features, and usage of them, good usage. In which case I don't know why you're watching me, and terrible jokes along the way, previous sentence included. Anyway, back to the webinar. So now we've got the added levels of convenience of our right click again, and our switching of detail mode. Annotation, linear dimension. There we go. Very, very super convenient. You can bring back your specification notes as well in text. So and that is currently on the floor layer. So I'm going to drop that onto untitled. There we go. Moving through this again until we bounce upon something new and interesting to show you. We can have a little look at the new 3D preview. Now I'm just going to pop that rest of that roof back on there a second. Yes, this will be available as a recording. Unfortunately, I'm recording the whole thing, so even the interludes of me being daft are recorded as well. So there might be a day or so where I break out the video editing software and remove the parts where I'm actually me, and include the bits, and leave them in where I'm being a professional. Right, so I've got my roof on there. The other items that can use the fill is if I go to the sloping roof accessories, I go to my flat ceiling for cut roof, area of ceiling, say accept defaults on that one, and miraculously go F. It's because I moved on from it. So you can use the tool for ceilings as well. That bin to go to according to plan. Anyway, moving on. So I've got my roof on there now, so I can show my 3D preview again of my weirdly tall, strange house. And I can show you the same features as before with what can be shown on screen, but now we have a visibility. So I'm going to come back here, go to my windows, grab some PVC standard windows. There we go. Drop them in. Refreshes. There we go. Probably want to get rid of that door upstairs. Don't need that. So we have a small, strange building with some windows in. If you want to show what this is going to be looking like, say possibly during construction, or what the layout looks inside, we can say I'm going to untick show roofs. Okay, there we go. I can then go untick show doors. So we've moved our door there now. I can go and untick show windows. So we're kind of getting to the point now. It's actually kind of looking like a bare bones construction, almost like it's going to be looking like while it's being built. So you could do that, but for the most part, it means you can just remove sections and give an idea of what something looks like on the inside. And another item that is particularly useful, I'm going to come in here now. I'm going to highlight this roof. Actually, I'll just do several walls. Actually, I'll do several walls worth of things. Let's grab all that. Modify selection. Set selection as non-estimated. There we go. Okay. I'm going to put everything back on again. And then I'm going to go show estimated, untick show estimated. Leaving just the sections I set as non-estimated. This way, if you're doing a extension and you've done part of the, you've had to draw a significant chunk of the existing building to have items to tee into, to say set openings into, put a roof on so you can see the roof in. It means that when you do go to do your preview, especially if you want to save it, create an image for a customer so they can have an idea what things can be looking like, even just so you can just take a snapshot to add to the front of your quote. It means that you won't have to mess around with hiding items, deleting items. You can just go visibility, show the items you want. There you go. So hopefully that will be of helpfulness for people there. Okay, let's expand my questions box a moment. There we go. So other items that's changed underneath this is you can also just change the background color. So white, light grey as it was before, dark grey, black, shades of grey, shades of blue, sky, and inferno. Possibly handy if we're designing a Spanish villa and want to give a sense of intense heat. Or blue sky. Shades of grey is quite nice actually. A machine professional look. Close that one down there now. And another thing we can touch on while we're in the views and 3D is elevations. If I draw an elevation based on this wall, place my elevation here. Before, when having an elevation hatch placed in with a symbol, it was a case of having to explode that and then placing a hatch. Now the hatching has been improved so that we can do an elevation hatch directly within the symbol. And added on top of that are new horizontal and vertical hatchings. So if you've got a cladding on there, we can quickly do like a clad hatch. Now this is something that was asked for previously quite a lot, and now has been included in the software. And it doesn't want to hatch mine. joys of live. It's one of the fun things about doing the webinars, because if something will be, there it is, all views, there we go. So now we have our hatch patterning, there we go. Beautiful, is it? As the day it was created. So if I actually go back to when that was a symbol, we can do that again, post-editing. Actually helped if I didn't right-click to drop the tool. So yeah, when you've got the mouse buttons switched around as well, the right-click, even if you're using it as a menu, the first click will still drop the tool you're using if you're just clicking into an empty space. So it's still got that nice bit of convenience to it. There we go. Works eventually. Mostly because user error in that case, I didn't have all items showing. So the layer it was placing it upon was one I'd actually hidden. That's something that comes up as a tech question quite often when people are going like, it's not drawing, it's not showing. And it's like, right, okay. Show all items. And then you suddenly reveal 13 floors that had been drawn. It's easy just to delete them at a point and let them be drawn again. How will we be able to watch the video after I've edited it? Well, once I've removed a good 90% of the bad content, left in a sprinkling of silly content and left the proper content in there, it'll be put up on YouTube, and the say that the raw recording might just get sent out if marketing being brave, but that to say all signees and attendees and such. So you guys might be able to watch this again. I don't think the webcam part of it's going to be recorded though, so that's just an on the night special. Mostly, I don't think HPXL want my mug all over too much stuff. It'll just scare people away. Right. Anyway, yeah. So there's gonna be a YouTube recording of this, and there's also a non-voiced video that's going to be available of just the key points, which is useful for showing some of the tools in action. So we've gone through items, like say drawing items, the new sketch mode, which does look lovely. We've gone through some of the items that are available that normally under drawing annotation. It's now available on the right-click menu, which I'm pretty much going to keep referring to it. Also mouse menu, you'll find it referred to as that's the one I've decided to start calling it. You'll see here as well, oh by the way, yes, the walls appear clear when set as non-estimated under sketch mode, which is nice as well, nice and tidy, very unobtrusive. Not much change on non-estimated symbols. Sections stayed pretty much the same. Same as modify and selection. And we've gone through the new views and 3D items, such as the 3D preview changes and the elevation changes. So able to hatch the symbol now. There you go. Roof lines going forward. It's because I just they were the last things I've been tinkering with, so they got priority. When I hit refresh, we'll say redraw, everything gets drawn progressively in the order it should appear. Things on top of the things it should be. So in this case, roof lines on top of the walls. But good spot though. So next thing is going to be doing some of the import drawing stuff. So I'm going to go to a new drawing, new from template, aim 1 to 50, that's fine, plain page, there we go. Right, scan and trace, import drawing. We have a brand new import wizard. Some people, like I say, may have noticed that there has been a newer import wizard in, say, plans for a little while for the DWGs, which allows us to preview those CAD files before inserting them onto the drawing. That is been brought in the same header as the import wizard. Now that also handles the PDF and images. Images still go via the DPI, so generally come pre-scaled, but the PDF is the one we're going to be focusing on for this webinar. When you've got this menu up, it'll have an option to untick for enable scan and trace mode. It's going to be ticked by default. This just changes everything to the scan, say the scan trace pens that you've known previously, of the different colour lines bolder, so we can see what we're going over the top of. I click next, and on my desktop, rapid takeoff. There we go. I'm going to select that one, and under here now, I can select page 2 of 2, and I can set the standard to best quality. The little drag bar you can go across. Now, this just means as well, again, that if you've got a lower machine, say like an old laptop you just cart around with you to do this thing with, you can bring in a lower quality PDF, not worry too much on the memory. If you've got an nicer machine, you can just bring in a higher quality PDF and go from there. It's much better quality than it was previous. There's a whole new engines for bringing in the PDF. I'm going to click finish, and I'm just going to place 2 points. There we go. Now, at the moment, this is not going to be holding water, as it were, for any kind of scale. So if I grab my linear dimension, say we're way off base with this. Okay. The new scan, well, say the new scan tab includes a measure image scale button. So I'm going to give that a click and select an image. Now, another thing you can do is if you've got a PDF selected, it will automatically pop up on the ribbon as well. So you can just click it and get going. First thing I'm going to do, once I've got it activated, is click on the first line, bring myself across, and then I'm going to hold shift for this because it's doing 2 points. It's not going to be automatically trying to level them out on the vertical or horizontal. So I'm going to make sure that this measurement is on the perfect horizontal, 90 degrees to the nearest 90 by holding shift. Once I've done, make sure my placement is nice and accurate. Using a really high DPI gaming mouse for that isn't the best idea. And then type in the distance that it should be. In this case, 4.8 meters, 4,800 millimeters. Click OK, and it's vanished. When it does this, it's left the screen as where it was, and the PDF's gone off and scaled to where it needs to be. So it's going to be somewhere. Quickest way to find it is to click Zoom Extents. You could zoom out and zoom in on where it is again, but Zoom Extents just takes us straight to it. So if I'm viewing the line, nice and easy. Zoom Extents is actually a very useful one as well. For a lot of people, when they're exporting to PDF and things aren't fitting quite right, things a bit skew with, sometimes it's not looking like it's right on the page. Zoom Extents lets you see if there's anything outside of your drawing box, because it will just be included as part of the screen. So if your screen's looking like that after you've done Zoom Extents, it means there's a line somewhere on the outer edges that you probably want to do like a selection for or something to pick up before you do exporting your PDF. Little tip there. But now we've got our wunderbar PDF in. I'm going to go back to my architectural tab, I'm just going to grab an additional cavity floor because it's got no footings in. Give starting point on this wall. I do actually have a button on my mouse that halves the speed of the mouse when pressed, which makes doing these things very accurately quite nice. There we go. So place some existing walls in there now. Coming through as a thicker blue line. Set them as unestimated. Bring back my brick and block cavity wall. I'm going to start in that corner. And work in that direction a second. There we go. So new style to the scan and trace. So instead of having just the standard wall lines set to blue or red or pink or purple, it's just nice straight box, much easier to follow, especially when you're doing, say, when you're doing a trace over something. You're not particularly looking for all the intricacies of details on the brick wall. You just want to have the fact it's a brick wall and the right length with the right openings. So if I just grab a window, could be 1500 deep, 600. And just places in as standard. If I was to switch off detail mode, we'll end up with the walls similar to what they were before, but with a new color scheme. So it's always best to leave sketch mode on for this one because it's nice and clean and quick. Now, while I'm in trace mode, there's going to be times when you've got a PDF that's quite busy. So if you do lose track of what you've done and say there's a lot going on screen, this is something that I'd actually shown how to create manually in a video previously about adding your PDF to another layer or another level and hiding that layer individually. Now, because we bring in the PDF, the JPEG, or the CAD drawing into its own scan and trace layer, which you see down at the bottom left here, we can just add that to a button and show and hide the drawing on the fly. Making that a nice bit simpler to do there. And then a toggle drawing mode. Show and hide import drawing. Okay, so that there is the main features of the, say, 2019 update. Lots of quality of life updates there. Like I say, one of the ones I'm the biggest fan of is the RightClick menu and the ability to select individual lines without actually having to click on the line itself. So even when you've got a particularly busy section, it's not something that's you're going to have to move lines about, shuffle it about. For many of you that have I've helped with doing, say, roofline drawings and such, you'll find that very convenient. So I'm going to take a quick, say, 2-minute break, and then we're going to crack on with the Q&A. So if you've got any questions, fire them into the question box, and I'll give them a read through. Okay, speak to you in a moment. Alrighty, yep. Once again, you're being subjected to a webcam. Unfortunately, it's live. For those on the recording, you're the lucky ones. Yeah, one of the reasons I've been doing the webcam is generally when there's those pauses where, in all genuine case, I'm probably having a brain fart and the whirring's going on. You can then see the whirring, and it's not like, oh, where's he gone? The audio stopped. Has it broken? Have you disconnected? Nope. It's just Tom has had to reboot and ponder something. So it's I think it's worthwhile anyway, because a lot of people come to me for advice how to draw things, and in all actuality, it's like it's not answers straight away. Sometimes, it's like things do need a little think over. So if I need to think something through and you've got stuck on it, don't feel bad for being stuck on it, because if I've had to think it through or had to put up a bit of thought into it, then genuine questions. All right, so this isn't comedy gold, Alan. This is I can't even think of a metal that is of low enough standard. I'd say copper, but even copper has a trading value. Comedy tin. Now, just randomly screwing through some of these questions because the answer straight away. The name of the YouTube channel is basically search for HPXL Limited on YouTube, and you'll see a lot of videos there. You'll see the curated ones within sections for how to do things. Usually those are the ones that also get linked up to the support site. So if you Google HPXL support, you'll end up with the videos in order with any supporting materials that are useful for them as well. Case in point, the scan and trace I've done here, I've used the PDF that's used for tutorials and teaching. So that's available on the support site, while the video would be on YouTube and it's basically hosted on YouTube. What you will find on YouTube is a load of extra videos that just get put up there that are either meant for say marketing or their historical value, where there is gold to be had within them. Usually, if they've been kind of put to the back, they're not always unlisted. If they'll be unlisted if they're of complete trash value now, but there are items in there that are still useful, especially principles of scaling. That while we do have a built-in scaling tool now and the ability to hide the PDF on the fly, some of the older videos show how to actually do that yourself manually, so they're worth digging out. They're all there, and if they are of useful value, then they'll still be linked to the support site. But yeah, have a little subscribe, and you'll see when new videos come up as well. Oh my god, it's like YouTuber. It's like and subscribe. Dear. Obviously, in hashtag next. So okay, roofline's going for the wall. So questions. One that came in first, midway through the first part, was how to create levels. So I will get a shot of that one. There's a couple of ways of doing it. There's as you're progressively going through something and you want to create the next level. I'm going to go to my Views and 3D tab. I'm going to select the Levels button and 2770. So if I get it wrong, I can edit it. So base height 0, that's the floor height. It's sometimes if you're doing something a bit weird on a hill or it's got raised up slightly, you can do another level of just say lower brickwork. I will make something worthwhile drawing in a moment. But for the moment, 270, click, select my reference point, which can be the corner. It'll be an item that is the same all the way through the build. So then they can stack on top of each other, like hoops on a tower. Once I've done that, I create my boundary. So the give first point of box to define level. So click, click. There we have our 3D, hit 3D preview, and it's highlighting the items just within the box. Now, this is going to segue into another question about creating stairs so they appear on two levels. If I was to take that level, right mouse click, copy that, stack that, I'm just going to stack it up here. Say my wall height is 2400. Let's create everything from below. I'm just going to delete all that stuff. 3D preview. It's brought the stairs through. It'll automatically bring the stairs through, and it'll only stop bringing them through when I highlight them and modify them, or say what, in this case I'm going to go to the modify selection and explode, a little dynamite button there. Because I explode it, it stops being a symbol. It's now individual lines, and individual lines don't have a 3D symbol. 3D properties, nada, zero, zilch, and they are gone. So you can hide the stairs, but the main thing is that they're going to be retained on the drawing so that we can then, as my family would like to say about everything I do, faff about with them for a bit. Say, if we were to be dropping in a set of stairs, we wouldn't have the stairwell, let's say the floor, but covering, say, none of the stairwell, at least cover the few bottom of the stairs. So we can edit that to fit nicely. Now we've got that level created. That level created through the copying of the one below. Nice and straightforward. You know, it creates the one above, sets the floor heights and whatnot. Now, if I delete that, let's say we've just created this floor here, okay, and we've dropped the level around it. We want to stack this. Oh, that's 2775. Okay, 5 mil off. Just double click on that. Make the change, make the correction. Now let's say we want to stack this on top of that one, and we've already drawn it. You know, we've gone great guns, we've scanned it, traced over one part, traced over another, we've drawn one part, drawn another, and we want to stack them. We can just go views in 3D, levels, and this time we will manually set the base height to 775, wall height, whatever's going to be. So we know the wall height is 2400 on this one, and it's level number 2. Click OK, and we pick our reference point. And stack manually. This can be useful for a number of things. Yeah, so if you're going through stuff, but being able to create a another layer, another level on the fly, does give you opportunity to do some say more interesting things. So 1 point, say about 1.5 high wall, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I'm going to give myself a little box of wall here of 600, right down 450, square that off. Right, all I'm going to do with that, views in 3D, grab my level. If I go to 775 plus, that gives me a base height of that one, wall height 2400 plus gives me base height of 5175. So that's the height of the top of those walls. I can click OK at this point now. I can set my, I could put my reference point on there, but I'm going to set my reference point there and put that box around. Because very handily, that's just giving me a chimney stack. So that reference point, I can move that around within that wall. So look, a chimney. The wonders that we can create. So expanding that there, I can just place that around. Now, you may want to have something a little bit more accurate than that, so we can use construction line. Construction line. What we measure. Well, it's so nice having everything on the right-click menu. I can just sit here with my hand on my chin in my hand. It's epitome of just starting to be lazy. And go R to the right, 6644. There we go. Right. Let's move that construction line so it's snapped on between those 2 points. And make that view box big enough to encompass that. There we go. So that's the wall measure in there. We can then take that, plonk that against the wall, so it just matches up against there. There we go. Just just case of using measurements to reference points, and we can make something pretty. Okay, so that's creating levels, nice functional use of them on their own, or using them to create the next level. We shall return to the questions box now. So if you're if you're happy with the answers on levels there, just let me know. If anything you want clearing up, just let me know again, or forever hold your silence until at least 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. A lot of extensions, but draw timber kit at the moment. I have to go over the brick and block walls. So that's not changed for the moment. The main part of PlansXpress 2019 is features. So Plans V5 was new engine, which was the biggest overhaul. All of this now runs on a brand new background, which is why there's now a 64-bit edition, which allows us to handle much larger drawings. You're not going to get a CAD file that can cripple the software just by even glancing in the direction. It might be slow to load if it's got a million lines of text, but it will handle it, and it give you opportunity then to make changes, cut it into size, make it something usable. Okay, so yeah, much more resilient in that way, but also gives up, gives us lots more options in the background. One of which, several of which you're starting to see now with 2019. So new tools, new ways of handling things. It's using a newer code base in the background, effectively. So we can anything that was available to be added in can be added in, such as the PDF engine, better quality for those scaling tools. There is work being done to improve that even further, so that there is almost like a rotational. I said it. Rotate PDF. in the preview screen. So that's one of the things that can be looked at next as a feature. Like say, Plans 2019 is all about getting the quality of life improved, tool set wise, of course. Following that, future updates can then start focusing on workbooks. Compatibility with Estimator, because Estimator is still the one that holds all the data for dimensionals and whatnot there. And there's items in there already that we want to bring across to Plans. But now we've got the foundations down. You know, to use a terrible analogy from the construction industry, we can start building upwards and adding those bits and bobs in. So yeah, there's going to be work going on to bring in, say things like the single skin timber walls, as you are wanting there, so that we can just go draw, and have either say a higher spec and have your extension done that, or just something that we can just draw in timberite buildings, which would be wonderful and useful. Okay, so yeah, hopefully that gives a bit of clarity on that one. So still not going to be there. Definitely something that's been raised, and looking at on quality of life stuff. After quality of life stuff, can the irregular fill tool be used on areas such as driveway? Well, first off, we're going to need a driveway. What a wonderful driveway. There's a notification sound. Did everyone else heard that? As in, this new go to webinar. I'm wondering what on earth it is. Anyway, architectural tab, tarmac drive, tipple drive. No. That's still something that I think that's going to be, that's not brought over to that one just yet. You see how it progressively fills though now. Work first. So done the stairs one, which are both levels. Do part trace and part detailed. Well, I'm guessing you mean part sketch, part detailed. It's kind of like one or the other, because just the way that the tool overrides pen styles. So unfortunately, that's a no on that. It is either the sketch or. Show the measure image scale again. Yep. Okay. So let's go back to this one. Let's get rid of that stuff. Let's make our image a random scale. So we have our PDF. Actually, let's start from scratch with that. Let's go scan and trace, import drawing, PDF, click next, select the PDF. We have our PDF, open the PDF, preview the PDF, select correct page of the PDF, select best quality of the PDF, click finish. first point of origin of the PDF, and second point to place the PDF. We can click measure image scale now and then select the PDF, or we can just highlight and then once the ribbon's changed, click the measure scale button. First point we measure, we click zoom in nice and accurately, click to place the line. Now, most importantly, to reiterate, this isn't like a dimensional tool where it will be going vertical or horizontal. It will be doing it point to point. So if you've got it on the diagonal, it will be on the wonk and your scale won't work. Okay, so avoid being on the wonkiness. Hold shift. By holding shift, you achieve true enlightenment and a nice straight line. In this case, this measurement is supposed to be 4800 mil, 4.8 meters, so 4800. Click OK, and like magic, it's disappeared because it's scaled to the correct scale. And I will now go zoom extents, and there we have it. The great thing is, as I wave my arms around in front of the screen, the webcam ain't getting recorded, so only people know the way I'm doing it because I'm saying about it. I better say about it because other people think I'm crazy. So, voila, l'accurate scaling. And then you can get on and make your messy lines over the top of it. So, excellent, like that. So, was it the scaling tool or the dodgy French accent that I employ to demonstrate it? Oh, the plan I brought in had writing on it been drawn by hand. You mean this one? This was created by the finest Albanian scholars, high in the mountains, where they created a font that we can use under text. So, example. Click OK. Place the example. Should now highlight the example. And when I've highlighted the example, the ribbon shall change. Bear witness as I select the drop-down box with the font styles and select Alien Encounters as we go slightly retro 80s. Or highlight again and have fun with Architect's Daughter. I say that with a straight face because it actually is called Architect's Daughter. You thought I was being dirty. So there we have a few of those. I just want to actually what that one might be called. This is a good name. Cracked Johnny. That just brings forth the. Right, down. But yeah, I think the point has been made that we can change the font, and we can change the font to various possibly questionably named fonts that we hold no blame for. There entirely is what comes from within the font library. But there we go. Leave it as Toledo. Toledo's nice. Toledo's that slight freshness of individuality while remaining professional and readable. Okay, so what YouTube can find us on? Yeah, K-rend on options of wall renders. Right. Again, KRend, that'd be a workbook thing. The workbooks for doing KRend are something that's in development. I can go give Andy a poke about that. I think that's something on his to-do list. He has a almighty to-do list because the construction industry, unfortunately, doesn't sit still very long, and things always need updating and changing. So it's maintaining current stock of workbooks as well as updating them. But I think that's one that's being done. Main challenge with that is, while you may reference KRend, there are quite a few different, say, silica-based vendors of that style and variety, and how they were fixed. Personally, it's one of those things that I push for, but I still go, oh, KRend. There is a black handprint somewhere on a large building site somewhere on the garage, where after doing black cement work, I tripped, saved myself by grabbing onto the wall, which had just a pristine white KRend finish, and I had a hand covered in black dye. So that's still there to this day. But the thing that about KRend was it couldn't wash it off. Just it stained straight away, and it does stain. Where we are on the UE campus, there's quite a few new building estates nearby that are not old at all. You know, and whenever I don't know if it's something, but whenever there is a join in parapet walling, and there isn't any parapet walling detailing yet, that's something I want to get into the non-estimated symbols and sections, because I've had to draw parapet walling manually. I hated it, especially when you've got a vaulted ceiling going into parapet walling, working at the mechanics of it. But yeah, whenever you've got, say a coping stone, the join on the coping stone would just usually just have a black streak all the way down the wall, and it's like, if it was brick, it would be clean it, or it wouldn't even show. But on KRend, it just seems to stick in the the slightly porous surface, hold on the ridges, and just go dark. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the actual KRend myself, but yeah, rant over. The workbooks for doing it, I say at least better some systems like that and like are in the works. Yeah. You got that was a tangent. That was a tangent. Every now and then, so you strike a chord, and it's like Builder Tom comes out. It's like, don't like that. I like that. Don't like that. Right. Oh, Mark, say for the recording's benefit, construction lines will not stay using the right button. Have you switched your mouse buttons? As referring back to those that missed the beginning, the switch mouse buttons under the settings, you can right click as well to bring up the options, but by default, middle mouse button, it can add alternative right click. Right click is something that I've been using for this webinar. Internal finishes. Could you expand upon that for me, Brian? Is it just like any new internal finish wise? Nothing's changed from previous versions. Estimating. Hatching wise, again, nothing new. It's the new cladding ones. Yes, construction lines. Funny, your next question, I don't know if how to find an angle. You know, I shall use the construction lines. I shall bring forth construction lines. And yes, I was tardy and not prim and proper by using construction lines on my previous drawing. I did get carried away and to start drawing. But finding an angle. Let's find an angle of these doors. We haven't got a roof line to follow. Actually, you know, let's go back to drawing one. There we go. Got a roof line here. So what I'm going to do, construction line, I'm going to treat this like it's a PDF import or something, so there's not something snapping to. I go horizontal and I just place a horizontal line on the drawing, and then I bring up a angular construction line. Now, when doing this, I zoom in and I try and make sure the gap between the 2 points I click is as far apart as possible. Because the greater the distance, the greater the accuracy. Click to place the second time, and we end up with our construction lines as so. I'll move that lot out of the way. Now we can summon forth an annotation, a angular dimension. Now the angular dimension, the main part is the order you click. So if you've got an angle such as this, click the point away as your first click. Second click will be the intersection. And then you move the mouse away and you can snap it to the line there. So 35 degrees. Other way around on the angle. Well, you can, again, it just depends on the order you click it on. So if I was to go click, click on the other side, well, if it's on the right hand corner, which let's grab us a construction line, angular. There you go, 2 points. So once you've got your construction lines lined up, so using an angular construction line to follow along whatever edge there is on the PDF for the roof line. And the handy thing about this is you don't actually have to have the roof scaled. You can just plonk it on there just to grab the two angles, because it doesn't matter if it's big or small, angle remains the same. We get our angular dimension, also found under drawing annotation. And same as before, going the other way, but this time I pick the top line, because the thing is it's like a clock, external, internal, and in this case, you always want to be going anti-clockwise to measure internal. Okay, so I do the top one because I then go anti-clockwise to get my angle. If I was to go clockwise, I go the other way. So if I go to the bottom and then internal, I end up, but anti-clockwise goes all the way. So it gets me the rest of the angle. If I go clockwise on that one, if I try and go clockwise, it just does the full circle. So to reiterate, with the angular dimension tool, just always think going anti-clockwise. Right here. Alright. Ah, a lot of you seem to be liking the angle stuff. Oh, I like the comment, lovely jubbly. There you go. Let's see. Right. I'm gonna have a sip me drink and such. Yeah, if you've got any more questions, keep firing them over. I'm happy to sit for a bit and run through some stuff. Oh, didn't take long for some questions to come in. Right, roof construction. I shall use this level here. And one thing I will reference, someone's point earlier on about the roof not lining up here, generally because the width of that roof, based upon angle of the roof, you end up not matching up to the hip height. Physical improbability for that to match up at the top there if that wall remains that width. For that to match up, that wall will have to be narrower, or that main wall will have to be wider, or one of the pitches will have to be different. And as soon as you start changing the pitches, it will just start getting complicated, and the chippy will hate you, and the roof will hate you. So it's just generally you want to make sure that the measurements tally up. And in this case, if that wall was a little bit in, we could have it match up nicely. I think we could actually go just a little bit more in depth on this one. Actually, we'll actually measure these. That's 2, 7, 7, 4, 7, 2. So there we go. So we've got 3149 and 3264. So if I go 3149, that's what my wall size will have to be to match up. It'll be much nicer now. Okay, so roof construction. General principles of roof construction. First off, you need something to put a roof on. So we have our walls. These walls are 2400 high on this bit of drawing here. The tool for drawing the roofs will pick up on that, and so it knows where to place the wall plate and where to go henceforth from. Now, if I was to select a cut roof 40 degree, I can change the pitches individually on this. I might show you some of that in a moment. We can ignore the 1 meter offset because that's only for doing a barn style roof, and we'll leave the thickness of the roof there. Soffit width of gables, so standard 200. They might, some people like to say do 1500, and soffit overhang of 200. Timber and roof strap details. Most of this fairly straightforward details. If you're doing a roof internally between two walls, you may want to go in there and zero that one out because it's the thickness of the wall that the roof is going over. Large boards, rafter centers, joist centers, 400, 400, lovely. Other one as well, if you are doing a plain tile roof and you've selected the plain tile spec and estimator, then it will be making use of these dimensions here. If you're doing a concrete interlocking, it will ignore those. Sarking board, nope, Scottish option. Though if you're doing a closed boarded roof, so if you're doing a loft conversion on something and it's going to be closed boarded, you can say yes to sarking board because all it is a sheet of ply. Effectively, it can be anything. You can change it for tongue and groove. Spacing of tile lathe, so your batting gauge, again, 0.1 plain tile, 0.2 is what I generally just rough it as for slates, and 0.3 for concrete interlocking. You're always going to be in the right region. Turning details, sand cement, and proprietary ridge fix system. I actually like to say, if I'm doing sand cement, I like to actually say yes to both, because then it gives me an extra cost for any mechanical fixings for those ridge and hip. Leave those as no for painting, because they're going to be plastics. Finish. And in this case, I'm just going to select a apex roof. Click OK. Now, first click, it's going to say about is indicate wall line that the roof is on. So basically, where's the wall plate? What height's it at? Where am I going? In this case, I'm going to click this wall at the end. Don't really matter which one I can actually pick another wall completely off to the side. All it needs is that information of height. Now, the next two are indicate first corner of the build for the width of the building. So for roofs, pitched roofs, the first 2 clicks are always the gable. Flat roofs are the other way around, but pitched roof, first 2 click, gable. So point A, point B, and then the length of the roof. So that's placed on there. Say no to the binders, purlins, and whatnot. Now, once we've got that in place, we can bring back our previous command, apex roof, select this wall, point A, point B, and if I want to tee into that other roof, I press the T key, and it's formed our valleys and gables. And because I've measured the wall, it's done that directly to the top. Right. Say yes to flat ceiling and whatnot there. So area flat ceiling, yes. Now, you've got your joist centers 0.4, end bearings, insulation ceiling, yes. Height of ceiling, you could change that to 2.4. Click finish. And then we can draw that in. You see now as well with the new trace over, or say the new sketch, it's kind of filling the area as you go. Now it makes it nice and easy as well when you're onto your last corner. You can just go close. No vaulted ceiling, no purlings, no binders, no rainwater pipes. There we go. And get them into the corners. Alright, there we go. So roof construction, generally like that. Now, top tip, if you've got a wall that is not straight, let's grab an angular dimension and just do some shuffling on this a second. And let's go. Let's say that bad boy is off an angle like that, and our wall is well off on one like that. There we go. What we can do is take the offset construction line, click on that wall. We could set it to 200 down here, or we can just measure manually. Place construction lines on the edges of the roof where they're going to be going to follow the original lines, and then we can just grab those lines and move them manually. This is another time when you can actually use the right click and select, say, PlansXpress cut roof, and then select all lines for this roof. So instead of having to pick them out each time, you can just go around and move them nice and quickly. I just get rid of. Let's get rid of the. Pop that one around there. Get rid of those. Look at our views in 3D preview. Wunderbar. There you go. How do I get the angle construction line to move manually? What do you mean by that? Is, say, when you pick first line, the angular one is wherever you set that to. If you're using the offset, it just gives you the measurement as it comes up. Might have to. Yep, so the offset on that one. Yeah, okay. Both side offset as well. by the way. So if you've got a follow a line, so you're following a ridge line and you're setting a width or something, that's a handy one. Right. Okay. So as the offset is after, perfect. Can this be done just above the ground floor window? If I go back, there we go. So I've got the levels there. I'm just going to get rid of some of these construction lines, tidy things up a little bit. There we go. All right, let's get rid of that hatch. If you are going to be hatching an area on its own, I would recommend not doing the elevation hatch, or if you do, let's see if we put a line across, see if that makes a difference for this one. Got a line in there. Hatch, elevation hatch. So he's going to do the whole thing. So what we'd want to do is, can explode it for now. I'm just going to explode it for ease. But we'll take a polyline and you would mark out where that hatch area will be going. Highlight the polyline, hatch, then hatch patterning, which gives you the same options, and fill that out. So you're just doing that a bit manually. Top tip on that as well, if you're using the polyline and you've got a window to go around, let's say I was doing this other side, take a single line to the window, go around and then return to the same point. That way then, the hatch when you delete the polyline looks totally uninterrupted. If you're doing a hip roof, what is the correct snap points? Again, hip roof, the snap points will be same as an apex. The short end of the hip will be the gable. If I get rid of all these, get rid of these levels again. Put that level around that one. Use a select all lines for this roof. Oh, it's brilliant, that one. Select all lines for this roof. Oh, no, that is quality of life. That is right there. Now, because I'm going to do the your hip roof. I'm going to do it with an angle on it because why not? Now, in this case, I haven't got no straight edge on that side to work with, and I haven't got a width to work on that side. So I'm going to grab a construction line to give me somewhere where I can work with there. While that there is not ideal because it's on a window, so what I'll do is I'll grab myself a vertical construction line and just place that just there. There we go. Roof hipped. Pick the what's going on, so that's the wall height there. The gable end and the length. If I go back a second and do the roof the other direction, just as a case in point, it will go all weird because it doesn't have space to fit things in. Hips just don't work. So it has to go the other way, just as it would in real life. Also helps if you click accurately. There we go. Now this is something where you can get a bit fancier again. Same with the offset. Pop that in again at 200. Click that one. Offset on both sides. Done. I can then move these around. Now you're going to end up with lines slightly where they don't want to be. It could be that we want to measure that distance. 1775. We can do a perpendicular. Construction line there. Man, actually, I'm going to be the best one. We'll just measure from there. Arch 1775. Let's see how that ends up. There you go. That's tidier. Marvelous. Right. Now, it's program. I don't know. Yes. Doing a roof with no barge. Folks, grab some walls. By the way, if you've done half a box, just press S to square off. Roof again, so 40 degrees. If I set the thickness there to 0.02, 0.06, and yeah, the slate with no barge. I say it always wants to put a barge in on the 3D. We can say no to barge. We can take the thickness of the roof right down. If you take the thickness of the roof right down, then it's not so visible when it's not on there. I should have said yes to barge on the fascia on the front, but you can have it so it looks like there is no barge. If you look at it directly on the side, you can see where it's not got the capping on the end, but at any other angle works out much better. Does that suit your need there, Brian? Brilliant. Right. Flat roof into the flank of a pitched roof. What did I do to annoy you? Right, so flat roof into the flank of a pitch. Option for conservatories. That would be, again, that's a workbook thing. It's just linking the stuff up. Can you? Oh, you're throwing some interesting stuff up there. Right, let's see what we can do for you then. Let's get this flat roof into the flank of a pitch roof. So it's like pitch flat into. Is that? Uh, so let's just take that. Draw using this specification. Oh, that's a handy one, isn't it? Hover over that until it gets to that line. There we go. So you're saying like a flat into that. You notice there the direction I did that. I did the first 2 points as the edges away from the building, and then distance into the building. Now, I've done these bits and bobs before, so I can see how you're going to be coming across that there. Now, when it comes to this, I could just kind of guess, but I'll show you some working out that we can do on this. Grab an elevation. Sometimes it means placing the base roof a little bit, or base wall lower. You might have to say drop it by 100 mil because the flat roof is actually going to bring the wall line up a little bit slightly for it to sit on. So what we can do here is explode that. Grab ye friendly construction lines. And measure the distance to the intersection. So 351. Okay, highlight that. Right mouse click or middle mouse click, depending on how you got it going on. Select all roof lines for this roof. Oh, that is such a handy thing. And then pull that back to that line there. The only thing I can say at this moment though is that because I've got a source roof that's, well, main pitch roof that's narrower than this, I may want to make some adjustments on the width. So I'm gonna pop in here and go 40. Keep them within. If you've got barge board on the main roof, it's probably not so bad because they can kind of just merge into each other. Yeah, I misclicked. There we go. Oh, the value of the going back button. So that should match into that top roof pitch there. If you've got the barge board on there, it merges in nice and tidy. It can start bringing this stuff down. So if you find you've got a roof where that's going to continue on quite far, one way about doing this, if I take this back to my fun and games here, I'm going to measure up 2400. And so internal part of the wall sitting there. If I run that up, that, snap that. This is where I start doing the maths, and it's handy to actually look at the screen and go, aha, I am doing something. I am thinking of how this shall merge together. And 2550. $26.94. That's it. Select all lines for this roof. Let's delete them. All right. $26.94. Let's change this roof here. 2.694. And that distance is on the intersection 351 in. So R down 351 and R up 351. Roof, cut roof. Oh, 40 degree didn't I last time? Oh, I changed the distances, didn't I? It's not going to matter up if we didn't do the same maths. I didn't copy the roof. Should have copied the roof spec. Oh well, I just draw this in here. Extend that down to no. Actually, don't extend that one. Is this one I extend? So extend roof. Select use line to extend. Extend that at existing pitch. And then that one, if I go views in 3D preview. If I had the widths right, they'd match in. But ta-da! So what I've done there is measured where the intersection is and where the so basically using an elevation, I can see where the lines intersect and just measure that. So I can see where on the angle where it matches with the distance where it needs for the flat roof to intersect with that line. I can then start marking that on here to draw the roof in at that distance, at that height, but I have to make sure I do it on both sides to make sure it stays central. Then I can extend this side down to the bottom and leave that one up higher. So it just tucks nicely into the flat roof behind. Yeah, sometimes if you got an I've kind of made it a little bit more complicated than it needed to be on that one, because I did actually do that with the zero, like say, thin roof from the slate, but leaving it as defaults and it matches up nicely with the barge boards. Right. Just go back to angles. How would I measure length of an angle, aka length of rafters? Our old friend trigonometry. Failing that, just take an elevation view. Pull it off an angle. When you do say linear dimension, it will go horizontal or vertical. But if you pull it off an angle, it will give you the angle. Is that what you're hoping for? Quick measurement on a rafter. So any angle measurements on something like that, you either taking your measurement and your pitch and just doing a bit of trigonometry, or just taking elevation. Sometimes just it's one of the things where using an elevation isn't just for doing your fancy finishing parts of your drawing. It provides so much information on your other 2D plane, like say measurements where stuff intersects, lengths of roof pitches. Yeah, it's worthwhile just popping one onto your page every now and then, just to measure from. And make sure things are as a logic test as well, to make sure things are looking right. Object conservatories, I guess as that was coming, that's one of the things we need to add in. Import a real photo of a roof onto a roof. I was on about textures. Because if you're on about textures, I am currently showing on my screen a Google for roof textures. Okay, take a photo of some of that. I've done this by taking a photo of brickwork and dropping it. This isn't really how something like, say, meant for the software to do, but bear with me a moment. I'm going to save me a texture file. Save image as desktop. Tile texture. Right. So I've saved a tile texture. You're seeing the wonderful background of all the drives. Drives. We go into local disk, data, and PlansXpress 5, textures, roofing, desktop. Drop in that saved. Once upon a time, I actually wrote a little program for V4 to actually do this automatically, to automate this process. One thing is that if you move a drawing with custom textures from one to another, and the other machine doesn't have the custom texture, it's not usually happy about it because it hasn't got the source there, so it's just got nothing to display. Right, so I've got that. But if you're doing this on your own one, roof, select file. Let's see if I can see it in there now. There we go. Tile. Because it's not perfectly square, it's kind of compressed it a little bit. We can change that by something like that. That kind of your question right there. It's doable. Look at that. As long as your texture is good. Key thing with textures is making sure they match up. Poor textures, like the one I just Googled, have an edge that doesn't really repeat. You want a texture that kind of like has nice clean edges that can repeat on themselves. Properly done ones do that. Right. Okay, so textures, custom ones. Yeah, so just drop them into the textures folder under program data. Right. See the offset angle in 3D mode. It appears square still. Okay. I'll come back to that one. While I'm doing this bit here, by the way, because to continue on from Robbie's roof texture one, the same places where you do the textures for that. Fascia. Oh, this is where taste goes out the window, and we're going to select a brown fascia. That hurts. It's the wrong color tile. You can't do brown fascia with. There's a time and place for brown fascia. Usually, a bit like late 90s fake Tudor builds, but not that. That's a crime. Right. Yeah, in the skip. That's what usually it looks like before you rip it off. Right. So yes, can't see the offset angle in 3D mode. Appears square still. While I'm thinking of that, I'm just going to rotate that, so everyone can get a good look at the travesty. Offset angle. I'm trying to think of it. Offset gable end. Oh, right. That one. Right, okay. Oh, animation tool active. Machine's swearing at me going, you're clicking the wrong thing. Oh, it's even worse on the single story. Hang on, let's see if we can do something to resolve this. Textures, roofs, fascia. Yeah, there you go. A warning to all and sundry not to come near this. The owner of this house has no taste. Do apply texture, select file. Oh, I thought I was being offensive before, but let's truly go for it. Put a chimney on. Yeah, we can put a chimney on this. Let's sink that down to. Even my own advice. We'll just move that back a little bit. Oh, let's go 100. And then we'll go putting a chimney on it because even the ugly house deserves a hat. So we've got our wall here. Our level is at 2400. I'm going to create another level manually. Level 2, base height 2400. Wall height don't really matter for this one. Plonk that reference point there. Let's make sure I've got an area wide big enough to encompass what I need. Right. Take these construction lines, delete those. Drop a construction line on there so it matches up with the wall. And match that construction line up with it. That way then we've got our horizontal covered and we don't have to do too much in the way of thinking hard there. If I take this wall here, we've got to think, where's our chimney going to go? If we have our chimney against this wall, we can reference that wall in that line. We will then want to measure where this chimney is going to go midpoint. So I'm going to take a measurement from there to here. So 2846 from that wall to that wall. Grab a construction line, place there and just go R2846. Make sure our 3D box is lining up onto that point. That's the thing, the reference point snaps to things, things doesn't snap to it. And then we just get our little section of wall. So in this case, mortar leaf brick wall, solid single leaf brick wall, change that to say 1.5. And then draw. And square that off. They even got the height of the chimney almost right. It's not just be peaking above the ridge line, but not to be obstructive on planning it like that. Not sure what they make of the choice of fascia, but we've all seen grand designs. Anything can go, apparently. So that's that. Right, I got another question. Yeah, it's all generally, or it's all about reference points. If your construction line, if your 3D reference point is there, and you want this chimney stack to be above there, you just kind of need to almost frame out where it needs to sit. Yeah, you could cheat, actually, because now we can move reference points. If I go move reference point and say it's on that corner, there you go. Say that one, you go move reference point. Or not on that corner, actually. That one I want to be there. There we go. That makes using the new reference point move actually makes life a hell of a lot easier. Actually, we can just move that around. Bit of a doddle, but as long as they line up, as long as they match, it just go all the way through. Oh right, okay. Draw a cut roof with flat part on top. A crown. Right. You know what? Let's gonna start a new drawing for that. So the great thing about these questions is I can use a lot of the new tools for this as well. So let us beetroot, tomato. Let's just do that. We shall do it's just a single story for now. And let's make this large. The Diet Coke. Right. So we have large building. Let's say we've got a 45-degree roof going on it that goes up to the height of 2.5 meters. Okay. Roughly, let's just say what we'll do then was we'll frame this on the inside as 2500. Kind of gone exaggerate on this one, but it serves the purpose. So, crown, roof. At the moment, I'm doing this on a full thing. I could do this on a 0 height, but if you did this on a 0 height, same principles apply. What I would do then is grab a cut roof 45, as I said. Now, if you are doing straightforward, okay, a lot of time, lean-to roof with a hip will do you just grand. Because you do one section and another, and you just keep building it up. And so all you need to do is put the flat roof in the middle. But a couple of limitations on the lean-to roofs as they stand at the moment. So, in my wonky wisdom, I've figured a way to get those roofs in and make it work. So for now, I've got those two there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go roof again. I'm going to actually get a hip roof, and I'm going to place a hip roof there. And I'm going to do the same again the other side. See, if I had these questions prepped, man, the Blue Peter moments I could be putting right now. Here's one I made earlier. Right. So I take that, delete that, take that, delete that. And I've got 2 sections of roofs with costed 4 hips. Okay. We are part of the way there. I can then I could do a lean-to roof and fill it in if there's no gables, or so if there's no dorms or anything going in. If a dorm does need to go in, then I would do the same thing as before, but I could possibly say apex roof. That's it. But what I'll do is make sure I got none of that in there. Softworks gable 0, barge board 0. Are there barge boards? No, because I don't want to be costing for any barge board or anything to be joining on that end. And then grab my apex. I could use, because I know it's 2500, I can go use a left to right selection to pick out that roof line in there. Same on that side there. Get rid of that one. I'm going to move that just 2 mils that way. When I move that there, I'm going to snap it to that point, but while it's still highlighted, click on it again and press the right arrow key there just to move it 2 mil in. That's just so the lines aren't sat on top of each other. You'll see some logic behind that if you ever see the roof lines try and merge together like that. It pays to just keep them apart. Just by adding that tiny little separation, it's going to make absolutely 0 difference in the estimation, and it makes 0 difference to the 3D, but by George does it cure those wonky roofs. So now we've got 3 planes of roof, appropriately costed hip and appropriately non-costed anything on that end. It's just joining in where it needs to go. So right now our costs are bang on, and we have a ridgeline for each as well. So if it's going to be ridge along the top, perfect. If it's not, then you just have to go into the estimate afterwards and say no to the ridge and possibly just cost for an appropriate amount of lead. But continuing henceforth from there, let's do that last one. No construction line again, but luckily a known quantity. So making use of, say, the tools and the different ways they work. Click. I have a very sensitive keyboard, and they're even just glancing near the delete key or delete something. Yeah, so I just need to adjust that, see, because it's got that line connected there still. It's trying to formulate a roof plane. There's some very clever maths at work there. But clever doesn't always mean right. Select all axis roof. There we go. Right, so we've got that in. The measurement Now, I've kept it to some very straightforward measurement by using a 45-degree angle. So I've got a 2.4 high wall. So the internal measurement of that wall that should be to the top of that ridge should be 4.8. Now, if I'm putting a flat roof in there, unless I want the flat roof to be peeking over the top, I don't want to be using 4.8. I'm going to grab myself a external wall, pop it in there anywhere, doesn't really matter at all. And I'm going to set the height of that to be 4.6. Okay, I'm then going to go roofs, flat roof, typical flat roof, and I'm going to go noisy, go through it and just zero out these. Click on that wall there. There you go, set 50mm below the edge. Voila. Nicola, is that what you were hoping for? Now, I've done it the hard way by using the apexes and such, so I can then at least trundle forth with some dormers. And floor height 0. Mine has because I've got a full wall there. I need to make sure I've got it's referenced in that. Right, okay, and that's going to be top of that's going to be 4.6. Select wall. Set corresponding eaves line. Jazz hands. Yeah. Round of applause. Look at that. Masterwork. Work of art. You know what? You're gonna So yes. Fun and games. But again, you can apply those principles to anything. You can even construct, or I've thought of it doing construct off-site. We can even build the roof sections slightly to the side and just drag them into place to where they need to be. But again, as long as your dimensions are good, as long as your lines are good, nothing to stop you doing some more interesting things. I wonder how a dormer window is going to like that. F7 to snap to the middle. Yeah, it likes that just fine. See, I make it look easy because I've done it lots. But at the same time, that's all it is. It's once you know how something goes together, you almost do it by second nature. It's as a roofer, I've had to do timber work. I've had to construct the roof from scratch. But because it's not something I was my main stock in trade, that was normally something I'd be turning up and the roof would be ready constructed by the wood elves or wood butchers, depending on how vain they were. It's like a lot of the mysterious angle cuts. I'll be like, scratching my gun. Huh? And so I got to try and figure out how to do it myself. And then I remember how to do it, work through the maths, do the angle cut, be happy as day. And then next time I go to do it, I'll scratch my head again. Angled apex window above a bifold door fitted into a gable wall. we don't have triangle windows just yet. That's another one. Don't worry. Triangle windows are the one of the things that we want to be able to do. Really, ideally, we want to be able to do it sooner rather than later because it's very fashionable. And yeah, at the moment, it's just something that you can either do sectionals of some smaller windows, or leave that section out on doing another level. So when you do the roof sections, you do the whole roof on the zero height wall, and then you can leave that gable almost out. So when you're doing a 3D, you can get the image of it. The window itself, you're just going to have to either do in the 2D and then add in as the cost of it within estimator, especially if it's going to be something like have like stills up to form the triangle. There's a lot to actually consider when doing a triangle. I say one like that because the bearings of it, the supporting of it. So because the estimating side of it has to be considered first before we do any kind of 3D work. Yeah, sorry about that, John. Right, so I shall enjoy the rotation of the. Let's say clubhouse. That makes a nice clubhouse. Yeah. We can make this a pavilion in front of this, and do some wonderful things. So let's grab rid of that. Get rid of these construction lines. Flooring. Will the whole session, including Q&A, be available? Should be. I've always made sure that the Q&A sessions, say they're generally part of the webinar, so they're going to be put on there. A lot of the time in the past, the webinars haven't really been edited at all. They're just put up their rules. So anyone looking at them, even prospective customers looking at our software will go, they teach the software this way? But yeah, warts and all. Because it is what it is. Yeah. Hopefully you guys, you learn something out of this, you get a chance to ask questions, and it'd be questions any other users have, anyone looking at the software, anyone that's been using the software a while but missed the session. It's up there for anybody. Right, let's go in here and if we get a render 6 wall, because these are fun. Let's make this 1 meter high. Just using this one because of the way it looks. Let's get set defaults from there. I just made a think. I just made. Oh, it shouldn't be that loud. I just made the thinking face. Hey. Right. Yeah, I'll do the elevation again. Q&A will be available. So, 3D views, they can be presented on iPads. Well, I could take this and use it for that. Well, if you want to export the 3D view to YouTube, what you're going to have to do is get yourself some recording software. We use Screencast for making some small videos, and you can get a free version that allows you up to 15 minutes recording, and you can use that to record you doing your rotation and stuff. Other thing I use is a software called OBS. It's a very handy package. It's actually free, this one. I record a lot of stuff with it. But yeah, you can do a bit of recording. Exporting, so if you want to do this to images to iPad, there is a save as image button there. So you can save the 3D view as an image file. Now I'm going to save this drawing. And just going to do the elevation views on this one, because it's the question that came through first. I'm a stickler for doing things in order. So elevation view, pick the wall that you want to be basing the elevation on, pull out for the distance that you want the elevation to be viewed from, go into the depth you want the elevation to account for, so always go past the ridge point or any ridge points that you want to capture, then width, and then a corner that it's going to be based on, so that one there. Then place in an empty space. Once you've got this, I normally, you can work with non-exploded now, but I still explode because, especially when you're doing bits and bobs with, say, sections that are hidden that get picked up because you've gone to a certain depth, it's worthwhile being able to tinker to tidy up. So that, right. Right, that's saved. So what I'm going to do is the 3D view, iPad, export to YouTube. But yeah, so 3D view, if you want to go to Photo Visualizer, if you have the Ultimate Edition or if you've purchased it as an extra, you can bring it up in here. If you haven't got this, go buy it. It's very nice. But you see that much nicer view. Oh, Windows. Did I save my full Windows? Turn my volume down. Don't know, it's like for you guys. Going, noise. Noise. There we go. If in doubt, hit refresh. Yeah, Windows have done free recording, yeah. They've been tinkering with so much stuff recently. Oh, I need to refresh this one. I'll carry on with this one. I'm not going to keep opening and closing it. But yeah, this one you can then pose on a photograph of the background. You can bring your own images in as well. It's all about getting the angle right. camera lens is an important one, because when you've got your own photo, it will make a big difference on how things look, because everyone's lenses, especially on their phones, will be slightly different. Aspect ratio. I see. Look a bit wide there, but depending on where you're taking the picture from, that might fit. These are the ones doing the export and render on this. Making it look super fancy. These are the ones you want to send over to your iPad. Right, so next question is, can you import a PDF and show how to rotate it? Like I said earlier on, the rotating a PDF is another engine feature we're going to be adding, because it can be done in the preview box. Now we've got a new preview box for the PDF. That's something that could be added in there. At the moment, it's still not doing the rotate PDF. It's just not something CAD can do. But we're getting a tool so it can do it within the software just before it touches the page. Until then, your best friend is a website called ilovepdf.com. Okay, that allows you just to drop in a file and it lets you then rotate it to the angle you want, and then download it as the rotation you want. Okay. Right. Okie dokie. Right. So, say, are there any more questions to come in? Because it's getting on a bit now. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I'm amazed that so many people are still here. You know. Yeah. No. Thank you for sticking around and asking questions. You know, questions are the lifeblood of these sessions. You know, I end up having such a bit of a brain fart when I'm running through the content that needs to be run through the new stuff. So, oh, there's this. How do I make it look good? And then I'm actually happiest doing the Q&As like this, because they're the ones where I'm chatting with you guys. Yeah. Excellent. Yep. Good night, Alan. Yeah. So yeah, I relish the chances when I get to do these webinars. Right here then. So I think it's time for a coffee, so I can at least stay awake while I enjoy some Netflix or something, or watch some TV. Hopefully, rest of you have a good night. If you do have any questions that crop up before, I speak to you next, drop them down in an email. Fire them off to support@hpixel.co.uk. If it's for things like workbooks or new 3D images, then the address is Santa@North Pole. Right. Good night, all.